Hi, my name is Laurie. This is my C2 Eagle vlog for week 11, lesson 11, that is chapter 8, Rice, Paddies, and Math. This week the students are asked to redesign a math program for underperforming students. And there's three areas that the students have to focus on. So creating a math program, a motivation strategy, as well as a numbering system. Now, I thought there were some issues here. To create a math program, the instructions are very ambiguous and vague. And in the CSLP book, the ID8 section has only asked the students to pick from addition, subtraction, division, or multiplication, and then figure out a way to develop a lesson and teach that to underperforming students. Now, it didn't just specify what culture these underperforming students come from, which I think does play a factor into creating that lesson, a motivation strategy, as well as a new numbering system. So I want them to focus more on the lessons of this chapter and the links between numbering systems, language, culture, work ethic. So I revamped the project a little bit. I'm asking them to create a proposal to improve the math abilities of Western students. Creating a system where help these 21st century learners to get into college easier and be more prepared for a career. So I've gotten these ideas from the Topical Expressions in the CSLP book. So I am going to make a requirement for the students to use the following words: college ready, career ready, 21st century learner, and different paced learning. So within their introduction or conclusion or their summaries, the students must use these words. The students must develop a numbering system and a motivation strategy. So because I'm basing it off of Western culture, it's going to be changing or revamping the English numbering system. I've broken down the project into 4 steps. So step 1, I'm actually going to start with the first personal project, which is the numbering system project on the 3rd page of the CSLP book. So in that personal project, I just asked students to write down a sequence of 7 numbers and then practice memorizing them. That kind of prompts the discussion for which language was easier to memorize the number sequence in, English or their native language, which is Korean. So then a little discussion within the groups where I want them to figure out which numbers in the English language were the hardest to learn, and then kind of brainstorm a way to revamp that numbering system to make it more simple and logical. In the book, they talk about how the English language has created a numbering system that is irrational and complicated. Due to this numbering system that Western culture has, they've apparently found a link between that and students less willing to concentrate and sit down and try to solve problems. So revamp the numbering system to make it more logical, to make it more simple. Page 266 to 267 in Gladwell's book, they explained the difference between English numbers and Chinese numbers, and how the Chinese numbers you can fit 7 digits in 2 seconds because it's a quarter of a second each per number word, whereas in the English language, since it's about a third of a second, you can't complete 7 digits, and therefore you can't memorize those like a number sequence of 7 numbers. I'm going to allow the students in their groups to design a numbering system, figure out what numbers they want to keep in more of a structured form and which ones they want to change. I change single digit numbers, or for double digit numbers, for instance, the numbers 10 to 19. It's very kind of random. It seems as though there's follow pattern 13 or 14, 15, 16, 17, and so on. But 11, it's not 1 teen, or 12, it's not 2 teens. So step 2 will be the motivation strategy, which is again their personal project on page 6 of the CSLP book. I want the students to discuss what Gladwell mentioned in his book about how the cultural differences can affect motivation, and this has to do with working and solving problems. So this was on page 287 to 288 of Outliers. He was discussing how the skill-oriented Asian rice agricultures were having a stronger relationship between effort and reward. So they believed the more effort you put in, the more rewards you will reap. Whereas mechanically oriented cultures were less that way, and they had more time for leisure and other activities. On page 6 of the CSLP book, I create a media card, and I'm going to ask the students to do like a short answer quiz where they come up with ideas on how to motivate students who are from a different culture that does not have that background and get them to become more motivated and work harder. And then ask them to develop strategies to teach math. So, for instance, are they going to use food benefits? Will they somehow incorporate technology and social media? Or will they create like a punishment system, a mandatory going to math academy, government policy? From there, I'll ask the students to pick the best ideas, and that will be incorporated into their final project. Step 3 and 4 can occur at the same time. So step 3 is going to now be the filming. So I'm going to ask them to create a video where the students have to be like mock teachers, and they're going to simulate their new numbering system, and also they're going to give tips on how to motivate students who lack the motivation. Step 4 will be creating a PowerPoint, 80% visual, 20% text, basically a page describing their new numbering system, explaining the rationale behind any changes in the current numbering system for the English language, and then another page on motivation strategies, and then a final page introducing their teacher's aid video, which has the mock simulation. Of course, I want them to create a speech for each page of their PowerPoint and then have cue cards when they come up and present. So I will check in again after I teach my classes and let you know how they went and what I changed along the way. And good luck with your classes. See you later.